I'm Michael Clark, and this is Facts at 5. I'm here at LTV Studios in Wayne, Scott, New York, with Town Supervisor from East Hampton, Peter VanScoyoc. Welcome, Peter.
Thank you, Michael. It's great to be back again.
Good to see you, and thanks again for taking the time out of your schedule to be with us. We appreciate it. For you folks, Peter's on with us every Friday at 5 o'clock, and just talking about things that are going on here in the town. So let's get right to it, Peter. Like it was reported, I saw that actually this morning in the East Hampton Star, that an employee of the East Hampton Town and Sag Harbor Village had tested positive for COVID this week, causing a shutdown and in the judicial system, I guess. And so what's the latest on that situation? How's that working?
So there was someone who worked in both the Sag Harbor and East Hampton courthouses that did test positive. As soon as we got word of that, the protocols for a situation like that were put into place, following the guidance of both the town, the village, and OCA, which is the Office of Court Administration, which even though the town courthouse is in the town budget and whatnot, it is still guided by the Office of Court Administration. So, for instance, during the pandemic earlier, they had jurisdiction over whether or not arraignments could take place on site and the hours of operation and all of that. So it's out of our hands. But they've adopted this similar protocols recommended by the CDC and the Department of Health for New York State, the same protocols that the town has in place. So immediately upon that individual testing positive, they were isolated. Testing of those who came in contact or worked in those buildings proceeded. No other positive cases were found that I'm aware of up to this point. They also keep records of who appeared and may have potentially had contact within those buildings at that time with that individual. And so contact tracing goes into effect, and follow up by the contact tracers within the county to inform people if they've come in contact and to suggest that they get a test, and to be careful about exposure to others until that test comes back.
Right.
So, you know, the courthouse itself was physically closed. It'll open on Wednesday. It'll open again on Monday after a thorough cleaning protocol is carried out. And then we'll be, you know, safe to open up again.
That's great. I mean, it's terrible that this person contacted the coronavirus, but it really shows the process in action. We haven't seen a lot of that out here, and it's going from start to finish. But what is the situation? How come there's no longer the 2-week shutdown? I've always heard that was the, it's
a 2-week quarantine if you contract the disease.
Oh, okay.
The building doesn't have to be shut down. There's a whole cleaning protocol procedure that needs to take place, and once that's effectuated, then you can reopen. So it has more to do with staff that might, become ill. They need to be isolating for the 14 days.
Understood. So, and unfortunately, the town had a couple of water incidents this week. The first was the man from Manhattan who went missing on Fort Pond after trying to retrieve an oar that had fallen overboard, I believe, on Sunday. And then the second was a collision of a fishing vessel and a sport vessel outside the Montauk Inlet. Do you have any more details on what happened there, Peter?
Well, the latter incident you described, there was a 45-foot Cabo sport fishing yacht approaching Montauk Inlet under low visibility conditions at a high rate of speed, and they ran right over the dragger.
Wow.
40-foot dragger. That vessel is probably weighs somewhere between 30 and 40,000 pounds. You imagine going at 20 knots plus, the damage that could occur. Very, very fortunate no one got seriously injured or killed. That we had long-time fishing captains on board that vessel. They managed to get away from the vessel, which sunk very quickly, by the way. In about 70 feet of water off the Bell Buoy, Montauk. Those folks are really lucky. I believe the captain of the sport fishing vessel was cited for negligence operating the vessel. Personally, I've had my captain's license for about 35 years now, and one of the things you learn very early on in boating is that you never go fast when there's low visibility. You need to be able to stop within sight of another object, and I think there was only about 100-foot visibility. So you can imagine how quickly you would have to, not enough reaction time. So going too fast, obviously. The second one is a very, very tragic story. I don't have all the details, and the incident is still under investigation, but apparently 4 people were in a small rowboat on Fort Pond. One of the oars fell off overboard. There was a bit of wind when they were out there, and they couldn't navigate the boat back to pick up the oar. So it appears that the gentleman jumped overboard to swim to the oar, and the wind, I think, continued to separate him from the boat, and tragically he disappeared under the surface and was recovered, I think the next day it was.
Yeah, Monday afternoon, I heard. Yeah, those are terrible tragedies. And of course, our thoughts and prayers go out to those involved in both of those situations, all the people involved in both of those situations. But I'm sure there's a good side to the week as well, Peter, right? So why don't you give us an update on some of the high points that have taken place in this town this week, and some of the things that you guys have been working on?
Sure. I'll start with something I was involved with this morning, which was the groundbreaking of the expansion of the Montauk Library that kicked off today with a ceremony. I'm really pleased to have been able to be there and do this in a public way. Obviously, we had to stay within the guidelines that limit the number of people participating to less than 50. We all wore masks and distanced and whatnot. But I think that's a really positive thing. As I said at the ceremony, we see that communities, institutions such as the library, build and strengthen a community, and libraries are really a pillar to a community. And we can see very positive signs when a library is growing. That means that community is actually getting stronger. It's expanding learning and maybe even more importantly, understanding of the world around us. That was a very positive and upbeat thing. That library is relatively new for Long Island standards. Some libraries have been around for hundreds of years.
Yeah.
Montauk, was relatively newcomer on the scene, really only becoming very much habited after the mid-20s. So, they're very proud of their library, as well they should be. I think this will be a welcome addition, literally, to the library and to the community.
And as you know, Peter, being a musician yourself, that's also a venue. I mean, the Montauk Library is actually, they have a real good spot there for playing music and taking in some great things in the area. Actually, all the libraries do. But it's a wonderful place to go see something and just sit and relax and hear the music. Have you played there?
I haven't played there, but I've attended some concerts there, and it is a hub of the community. I mean, I've been involved with election time debates there. I've been involved with listening to classical music quartets and whatnot, lectures given there. One of the other great things about the Montauk Library is they've really made an effort to archive and record the local fishing history. And this is really, I think, a crucial time to be doing that at a time when, the artifacts are still around, when there are still people around who can give a narrative to what Montauk was like in the history of the fishing community, and the vessels and the captains and the folks that worked on shore and whatnot. So I think that's wonderful that they're capturing that history. Obviously, the East Hampton Library has been around a bit longer, and the Long Island collection of records within the town go back hundreds and hundreds of years, literally multiple hundreds of years. So, libraries, again, really important part of our society and civilization. And so when we see them growing and expanding, I think that's a good, healthy sign, strengthening our institutions.
Good to see. You're right. And so what else is going on, Peter? What's up for you guys in the town?
So the town board is, starting to focus more on moving forward some of the longer standing initiatives. We don't have to focus quite so much on the COVID epidemic, although we are continuing to monitor progress, which is good, thankfully, and thanks to everyone for continuing to wear their masks and follow the safety protocols. But we had a discussion about the hospital emergency room at Pantago. You may know that the town has leased property, a 90-year lease to the Southampton Stony Brook Hospital to put a satellite emergency room at that location where the Pantago ball fields are. We found after some discussion and several years of searching throughout town the best location for this satellite that's most centrally located. It's very close to the highway, easy to get to. And there are other medical facilities. The Healthcare Foundation is right next door, doctor's offices, whatnot. So that's the site that was selected. That effort's moving forward. The hospital received a $10 million grant from the state to help fund this. It was a matching grant. They've met that match, is my understanding. So they need to raise another $15 million for the completion of the project. That's estimated to be $35 million. The zoning on the property would have to be changed to allow for the hospital to be built there. On the east side, you have the Water Authority water tower and pumping station. On the west side, you have 300 Pantago Place, which is an office complex, and 200 Pantago Place. And both of those are already zoned industrial commercial. So we thought it most appropriate to have similar zoning designation, especially since the hospital is considered more of a industrial commercial type facility. We've declared lead agency under SECRA, and we're moving forward with having that zone change notice for a public hearing. Because the other things that are going on, we're kind of experienced the warmest weather of the summer so far, and that's put additional stress on our resources here, both electric and water. The Suffolk County Water Authority has announced that they would like customers of public water to change the timers on their irrigation to exclude the hours of 3 a.m. to 7 a.m. and to also put your timers on alternate days of watering. There's been a lot of demand, especially at those peak hours, and they want to maintain the water pressure throughout the system. So if you could just please make those modest adjustments, it's not too much of an inconvenience, really. That would be very helpful. Also, you can go to Suffolk County Water Authority and get rebates for water-saving devices. Also, we had, with the heat wave, additional stress on the electrical system, the grid here. Transformer and transmission line went down in Montauk, and about 2,200 homes were without power from about, I think it was about 3 in the afternoon to about 8 p.m. Subsequent to that, PSCG has also called for load reduction events. The town has an agreement with PSCG to take certain town buildings off of the grid and run them on our clean gas generators to offset peak load. So we've had 2 of those events this week. So that helps keep the grid a little more resilient. The Montauk substation, once it's completed, will alleviate those specific concerns in Montauk, and the most recent outage that they had probably wouldn't have occurred if that had been completed. So that's due to be done next year, 2021. Also, with the town's solar battery project on our Parks building, in the future, we'll be able to sell electricity back onto the grid from those batteries and actually conduct electric arbitrage, if you will, and be able to sell at peak rates. Even without that, we expect to save about $10,000 a year on electric bills because of the solar that we're putting on. So that's some of what's going on around town right now. Again, we ask that people continue to wear masks and socially distance, stay safe. Our numbers are really low right now, which is great. We can all have an enjoyable summer and not have to worry about a resurgence if we just follow those basic safety protocols. So be respectful, have fun, be safe. Thanks for having me on the show, Michael.
Peter, thank you once again, and we'll see you next Friday about the same time. So if we all want to stay tuned, Angela's going to be speaking with Fred Thiel, who's going to be giving an update. So we look forward to that as well. Take care,
Excellent.
Peter.
Thanks so much. You be well as well.
Bye.